Hi, FCST 1010 students. This is Dr. Wheeler. This is my lecture slash motivational talk for this week. And I figure if we're talking about welcome to college and motivating you to stick with college and setting goals for yourself to keep you coming, I had to tell you a little bit about my experience in college. Um, the picture of the car on the screen is going to make sense in a few minutes, but I'll go ahead and say that I started out in high school in a public school and didn't like any of my teachers, and I'm an identical twin, and I was flunking geometry, probably had a D in English. I really didn't care much about school, and I begged my dad to to let me move to another school. And so my twin sister and I ended up going to Darlington and finishing at Darlington in Rome. And it's a private school, and from the time you walk in the door, all they talk about is going to college. Where are you going to go to school? What are you going to do? And I never really thought about what I wanted to do. I just knew you were supposed to go to college if you went to Darlington. So graduated from Darlington with decent grades and um, applied at several colleges. And my twin sister and I both ended up getting accepted to Brenau College. It's an all-girls college in Gainesville. I was 17 when I graduated from high school and went away to school, and it was pretty much a big mistake to let two girls that are boy crazy go off to school at 17. And I ended up spending every weekend at either Georgia or Georgia Tech in a fraternity house. And then that turned into going to Atlanta. Of course, I was 18 by then. I turned 18 in October. And joined a sorority, yada, yada, yada. By the end of my freshman year, my dad said, I'm not going to pay for you to go and abuse college like this, and I'm not going to pay for you to go for another semester. So my college life was cut short after the first year, and my dad would not pay for me to go back. Back then, there wasn't anything like a Hope Grant or Pell or anything like that, and I couldn't afford Brenau. So, I mean, what do you do? I moved to the beach and played on and off from the time I was 18 years old until probably I was 25. I lived in Florida and then moved to Atlanta and worked for the YMCA, the Ashford Dunwoody Y. I had worked for the Y in Panama City, and I taught swim lessons. I lifeguarded, and it got to the point at 29 years old. Here I am, still a lifeguard at 29, and all of my friends from Darlington had huge jobs, and I was a lifeguard and a swim instructor, not making a whole lot of money. And herein comes the picture of this car. Back in the day, this was a 240Z. It was a cool car, except picture the front end of this car with a dent in it, and I think I had ran into the back of something in the back. This is not my actual car, and my twin sister and I pulled up to McDonald's and ordered at the drive-through, and the lady at the drive-through said, "Ma'am, can you please turn your car off? You're choking our customers." Bad leak or something, and smoke would pour out of the muffler and just about choke you. But I couldn't afford anything else. I mean, I was trying to pay my apartment rent in Atlanta and driving this 240Z and trying to look cool. And lo and behold, long story short, my granddad developed cancer, and my twin and I ended up moving back to Rome at 29 years old, and I decided I better make something of my life. And I started the school at Georgia Highlands. Back then it was Floyd College. Walked into an advisor's office and they said, what do you want to do? And I said, I have no clue. And he said, what about nursing? And I said, sure, that sounds fine. And I went to nursing school, graduated. I was a cardiac nurse for 12 years until I decided um, I never really wanted to be a nurse. I just kind of went with what the advisor said. I never took a personality test, never thought about a career in anything. And I'm a Christian, so one day I was teaching swim lessons. This is after I was a nurse, and someone said, you know, you're very good with kids. You'd make a great teacher. And I took that as a sign from God to say, you need to teach. And I realized at that point I had done it in some form or fashion all of my life. So I started back to school to be an educator and ended up within 10 years I had earned a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and a doctorate degree. And I'm a assistant professor at a college. So my point is, just saying you want to go to college isn't enough to wake you up in the morning and get you in class, to stay in class, to study, to keep you motivated. You have to have a goal. Research things that you like to do. You can always find a way to make money at something that you love to do. Don't just say, well, I guess I'm supposed to go to college. Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I think I'll take that. Maybe college is meant for you to take some classes, and maybe those classes will point you in the direction that you need to go and point you where your love is. So you really need something to wake you up in the morning to get you in class. It's not enough just to say, I'm in school. It's going to take you. It's going to take your motivation. It's going to take driving a car with smoke pouring out of it and realizing at 29 years old, being a lifeguard is not the way to go. And I will say that the money is, I mean, it's not great being a college professor, but it pays the bills, and I drive a brand new car, and I live in a nice house with my husband. So it's really ease of mind, and also I'm doing something that I love. So you need to figure that out first, and then the motivation to wake up in the morning, it will just come naturally.